All right, welcome back to the channel. I'm joined by the usual group where we talk about baseball, different baseball topics every week. We did talk about some of this last week, but we're going to talk more on it, and we're talking about the Baseball Hall of Fame and the stuff that surrounds Baseball Hall of Fame and voting and all that. So the first thing I wanted to get brought up is 2020 Baseball Hall of Fame. No one being inducted. Just get your general thoughts on no one being inducted in 2020. Robbie, do you want to go?
I mean, I think it's weak that nobody's got inducted, but I mean, this is a year that last year was kind of a blur. We didn't get to watch baseball. I mean, we did, but it was like 60 games, a microcosm of what you can watch. So I thought it kind of sucked, but that was just me.
Joey?
Yeah, but get the hell down. Stop trying to solicit votes for the Hall of Fame. So I think the Hall of Fame voting process overall has gotten extremely weak the past couple of years. I don't care to see who you vote for on Twitter. If you're going to say you're not voting for anyone because you think you're high and mighty and no one's worthy of being elected, then just shut up and give the ballot to someone that actually pays attention to the game. Like, get your old ass out of here. I think it is extremely weak. I think it's pathetic. I think half the Baseball Writers Association people need to just retire. I wanted to say something a lot worse, but I already said one swear word on here, so I'll try and keep you monetized while I can. But yeah, the process last year was just complete BS.
Bill?
I think it's got a lot to do with the steroid issues and some concerns over that. But at the same time, when you look at some of the names on there, you've got some great baseball players, right? And it's hard to believe that not one of them would get enough votes. But yeah, I think ever since we've had that 100% and with the closer Mariano, and then Jeter kind of got ripped off from being 100%, right? It is kind of weak, and maybe they need to pull back some of their licenses and, like Joey said, give somebody else the opportunity to pay attention and vote on some of these players.
TK?
I'm pretty much indifferent. I think it was said earlier last year, it was a kind of blur, but it's like you get like these 6 guys that get in the hall and then you got nobody. It's like you could spread it out a little bit. The voting is kind of off in that respect. So, it's nice to see somebody go at least every year. But, you got that, like, okay, nobody's deserving this year. But at the same time, if 6 people are going to be brought in next year or 3 of the previous year, why not just, spread those out a little bit more?
How do you think it affects the baseball? And do you think, because we all know you need, I think, 75% to get in, do you think they still should have done an exception that year where they maybe take the 2 highest who might not have gotten that 75 and put them in, if nobody gets over that, just to have somebody in every year instead of having a no one in a certain year? So
it's a silly bar, right? It's their 75%. You have to make it. I don't think you can change that because then it gets weak, right? It's just, again, some people, the strategic, I'm not voting for this person even though they deserve it. I think, again, I don't think people really care. Like, once it happens, big deal, right? Like, for a lot of people, they still don't even remember that Larry Walker hasn't gone into the Hall of Fame yet. And that was probably one of the bigger things up here in Canada. I don't think it impacts the game one iota because that Hall of Fame ballot time is a really short period of time. And then afterwards, it's kind of like, you forget about it and it goes away. And then, the only good thing I think that came out of it was Kurt Schilling when he was all ticked off. And he said, I'm not even going to let my name go forward for the last year. So that's the only thing that I remember out of the whole thing.
Yost?
I mean, it's whatever with me. I mean, I think it's silly on how they do the voting and stuff. I think they should be like, hey, if you did X, Y, and Z, you should get in. That's just me personally. If you hit, say, 3,000 hits or over 400 home runs or Yeah, I think it should just be an automatic bid to get in. Why do we have to have these writers vote and all this shit? So, excuse my language, all this stuff.
Joey?
I mean, I partially agree with Yost on that. Like, everyone keeps talking about, once you reach a certain threshold, it's kind of automatic to be in the Hall of Fame. I think it should happen for some things because there's getting 3,000 hits, no matter what, is still pretty impressive. Pete Rose should be in there, but it's a topic for another video that still hasn't been released yet for some reason. Yes, Bill, thresholds. But it shouldn't just be to the Baseball Writers Association. I mean, you have people that are voting that haven't watched a sport in over 25 years, and they admit that. Like, why are they still voting? The last time they remember – you good, Justin?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. The last time they remember going to a baseball game was at Polo Grounds. I mean, you can't have people that just keep trying to carry the old guard the whole
Why is this stuck on me?
Joey? Joey,
Beethoven.
Joey, do you want to continue?
No, because I think I said my piece on that one.
TK, anything to add?
I just think, I look at a Minnesota Twin, Burt Blyleven, got in at the final stretch. Why did it take? It took a huge campaign. There's writers campaigning for him. There's websites dedicated. It's like, at what point does the promotion outweigh the credentials? I think Burt Blyleven had the credentials to make it in, mid-round, not a first ballot or anything, but to take it to the last, why take it so long if you feel that his stats are good and you'll eventually vote for him? Why do you have to wait to the last ballot that eligibility ends to get a Hall of Fame career into the Hall of Fame?
Because they couldn't spell his last name to vote for him.
Right, I think it was pretty bad that no one got in and that they couldn't just figure one person in. I think it's a bad look for baseball, the fact that people have that much control over certain aspects of the game. I don't think other comments that have been mentioned, and Josh just joining us from ballpark.
Show me your balls, Josh. Show me your balls.
We're live from Great American Ballpark. It's Josh and Nico fell off.
So I'll wait till he comes back to continue on with this previous topic.
I like to call him Despacito.
So Josh,
give us a play-by-play, man.
It says he doesn't get audio.
Oh. I'll translate. I'm catching a whole lot of baseballs here.
Show us your balls, boy.
All right, so I'll just continue on to next. What are your thoughts on the 10-year rule that if you don't hit that 75% threshold, you're off the ballot forever? And I know there's a part where that you can get, I think Tim Raines gone in on as an exception afterwards in a different aspect, but your thoughts on the 10-year rule where if you don't hit the percentage, you're off the ballot. Yost, do you want to comment about that?
Well, if you don't get 75%, you don't get on the ballot.
So you have a 10-year period that you're on the ballot, and if you don't get over 75%, you don't get in the Hall of Fame So if you don't get over 75%, you don't get in the Hall of Fame, and you're on the ballot for 10 years before you're never allowed to be on the ballot again.
I mean, that's just dumb, but I mean, like most of us have said, it's kind of, people aren't watching. The writers haven't been watching the games, and you got these guys determining a legacy that these guys can say how it's a Hall of Famer. I mean, I think that's stupid, but I mean, that's just me. But who am I to say anything?
Realistically, it's just so that you don't have people on there for 100 years, right? You have to have a minimum, and then after 10 years, you're off. So to be honest, again, it's a problem if you can't get in within 10 years. It's the writers' fault anyways, right? They haven't recognized you, or maybe it's just That's the way it is.
So you're okay with not reaching the minimum? You don't deserve to stay on then, too.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, it's never perfect. You're gonna have years where like it's gonna be your Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine years, the guys like that. It's just, sometimes it's just timing. Ask Larry Walker. Ask Tim Raines. I still want to see Josh's balls.
Hey, y'all hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
live.
So,
How's it going there, man?
what?
How's it going?
Pretty good.
Oh,
I had to sit up.
put
I
his
had to
mask
sit up.
on.
I had to sit up top though. There's nowhere down low to sit though. I'm way up and right.
Show us your seats. Or show us
What?
your view. Show us your view.
Turn the phone around.
Show us your view.
Show us the view of the ballpark.
Not your ear canal.
Nice.
That's sexy.
That was awesome.
Now
Joey,
show me your balls.
Your comment
your
on
balls.
the 10-year maximum and the minimum to stay on the ballot.
Oh, hold on. I think Bill's more interested in Josh's balls.
Oh, dude, look at that.
Nice. You're gonna
That's
confiscate your bag on the way out, though.
Yeah, the whole thing is full.
You're like Santa Claus.
Yes, I can hardly hear you guys. It's so loud though.
Ball Hawk After Dark. Asking about Josh's balls.
So, Joey, comment on the 10-year rule, and if you don't meet the minimum, then you're off the ballot. What are your thoughts on that?
10 years is fine. If you can't convince people in 10 years, then probably shouldn't be in there. If you can't meet a minimum. Oh, that's a nice shot of Josh's legs. Put your mask on.
Put your ass on, boy.
Oh, he found it funny. Yeah, as far as the minimum, I mean, if you can't get 5 votes, then you don't deserve to be on there.
Thomas, your comments?
On the balls that Josh has, or what?
What?
Josh's legs.
No, comment on the 10-year rule, or if you don't hit the minimum, you're off the ballot.
Off the ballot. After 10 years, off the ballot.
So
Why
you
change it?
same thing with the minimum too.
Yep.
Okay. What are your thoughts about writers not wanting to vote people in as first ballot Hall of Famers? Thomas?
Gosh, I want a hot dog. Dun, dun, dun. This is as close as I got to a real game this year.
I bet Yoshi read my message.
So what was the question?
Writers not wanting to vote people in as first ballot Hall of Famers.
Yeah, I don't got an opinion on this. I'm sorry.
Bill?
Doesn't matter.
Joey?
What was the question again?
Writers not wanting to vote people in as first ballot Hall of
Hey,
Famers.
here's Castellanos.
Here comes Castellanos. We're going to see the first ever live home run. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm going to save a comment until after this at bat. Wait, MLB's not going to like this video, are they?
And we owe them royalties.
It's on speaker view, so it's not going to show anything Josh is doing.
Oh, okay, he muted it. So, what was the question, Justin? I'm sorry, I wasn't paying much attention.
Writers not wanting to vote people in as first ballot Hall of Famers.
I mean, if they don't feel like someone should be in the first ballot Hall of Fame, then they shouldn't. But if it's
just for the sake of not doing it because they didn't just for the sake of not doing it.
oh, then those are the ones who should have seen Dr. Kevorkian.
Like,
You don't know who Dr. Kevorkian is, do you, Justin?
Yeah, Dr. Death.
Yeah, he was the guy that used to kill people.
He's the first assisted suicide.
Yeah, so if they have that whole, oh, it's the first ballot, you're not getting in because I don't feel like it, then shut your old ass up and give us the Baseball Writers Association voting thing. Let us.
like Griffey got 94% because one person.
That was
didn't.
BS. There's no reason.
Jeter too.
Yeah, because one person didn't feel that they wanted to vote in the first ballot.
Well, screw people like that. I mean, Griffey was probably the best player of our generation. For Bill, because I think he's been around since Babe Ruth, but Griffey should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer unanimously. Like, stuff like that is just irritating, and that's why baseball's Hall of Fame is pretty weak at times.
Yost, any comments?
I abstain from answering this. I do not have any comments. I'm sorry.
People who, and then what players do you think should be in the future but won't? We all know the Pete Rose, Barry Bonds. So people not on the ballot that you don't think will get in but should be in. So for me, I think A-Rod is one who should be in but probably won't, and he's not yet on the ballot. Is there anyone who else comes to your minds?
Austin wins.
Alex Katz.
Zach Campbell.
They should have a fan category for the Baseball Hall of Fame under that regard.
Justin Schwartz.
Thank you. Definitely. First Canadian fan to get in.
You get 0% of the votes.
No, I'd get 150.
Percent?
Yeah.
What are you, like, doing some weird math with the votes?
No, people with 2 votes.
Every one of our votes gives you 2?
Exchange. I actually think Jeff Kent is one actually on the ballot. I don't think he's going to get in the way things go, but I know growing up, right after I watched Babe Ruth play, Jeff Kent was actually one of the better second basemen of our generation, right? So he would be one I would think that his numbers are spectacular. But I think just the way it is and some of these big names coming through over the next little while, he won't get in.
I think Javi Lopez was the one that kind of surprised me because he was on a lot of the great Braves teams and kind of helped the pitching staff through a bunch of them, but never got any type of recognition.
Thomas?
Thomas with the background that Bill took.
Yeah, I don't think Tony Oliva's in the Hall of Fame, which I think should be. That is one person I think should be in the Hall of Fame. Cuban American.
What about Jorge Posada? His card was excellent on MLB Diamond Dynasty.
Georgie.
No, anyone on the Yankees? No. That way, who's the one that said, Justin, was that you that said A-Rod would get in?
I think he deserves this. Well, he's under the steroid aspect, but based on what he did in his career,
being slightly above average player of financial diversity playing for the Yankees?
Almost 700 home runs, I think, if not over 700 home runs, 3,000 hits.
And?
Multiple MVPs.
If we're gonna say he should be on there, then Bonds should be in there.
Bonds should be in there.
696 home runs, not 700. Yeah. He's out.
Almost 700. Bonds should be in there.
See, I mean, A-Rod's just a quitter. He was only 4 away from 700, and he just walked away. He's like Mr. 3,000 just without the home runs.
Yeah, that many home runs. Good gosh.
People might argue Robinson Cano too.
Yeah, except for a second PED suspension.
A-Rod, same thing though too.
So you're building your case or what?
No, I'm just saying, like, these are people I don't think that will get in, but
Thank
based
God.
on, if you're going based on stats and performance, they should get in.
Yeah.
I think John Kruk should get in just because he stepped into the batter's box against Randy Johnson after getting his head almost taken off.
I don't have anything else to go on. If anyone else has anything to add.
Wait, you don't have any other questions? Holy crap, I think we reached a miracle here. Great. So I got a question for, crap, only two of you there on the chat. So I brought it up earlier in our Twitter feed about Zach's little temper tantrum about people not social distancing or wearing masks during the Yankees games. From the baseball games you guys have been to this weekend, sorry, Canadians, did you notice any issues with mask compliance, social distancing? Did you ever feel unsafe at any point? Or do you think it's kind of all overblown for someone to be ranting about that in this type of environment where they probably took it off for a few minutes to enjoy a beverage?
So being here in the Midwest, a lot of people here are we get a lot of people from outlying areas, and you can tell people aren't from the city or people feel like they're entitled. They don't wear their masks. So people were wearing it on the stairs, but when they're sitting in their seats, they didn't wear it. But you're so far from the next person, the likelihood of you catching something is going to be slim to none. And it didn't really bother me. People are going to wear it or not wear it, or they're not going to wear it correctly in the first place. I didn't necessarily feel unsafe. I would take my mom and my dad to the game. You weren't really by anybody. I mean, it was 10,000 people in Kaufman. They can take up to 30. So you were really socially distant. The seats weren't, I mean, I felt safe. I didn't feel like anything was wrong. I personally like the socially distant seats because I don't like a lot of people there anyway. So I'm willing to pay more if it's going to be less people. I didn't mind at all. I kind of liked it.
I had a similar experience when you're sitting down on the seats. You were far enough away from people, and people would get up and move around. You wouldn't get a lot of congregating. However, where my spouse, I didn't grab any food at the games. I usually don't. But when she was getting food, she said that people were in line, not masked, and just really close to one another. So that's where it wasn't being policed at all or being advised to put your mask on. So the lines were really compact. So that's where the uncomfortability standpoint, where she would just keep on moving around, just trying to get away from people, and then people would inch closer. So she didn't feel that as comfortable in concession lines. They do that thing where you can go ahead and order from the mobile app and pick it up. That's just complicated and having to deal with that, where it's just easier just to go up to find the food you want and then order it. So, maybe when we get more comfortable at the stadium and know what we want, we might use the app, but we didn't use the ballpark app for our purchases this weekend.
So things aren't as strict as they intended it to be.
And we're hearing go ahead, TK.
I was just going to say there's a couple ushers that take their job very seriously. And then you've got the couple that are just, they're non-confrontational. So they'll hold up the mask please sign and nobody will move. But then you'll have the other ones. I just asked you to put your mask on. Please put it on, or else we'll have to call somebody in to help you. So you've got some people that are lax and some people that are pretty gung-ho.
Now, TK, did you have to show a negative test to go to your game?
None. No vaccine, no temperature checks. I think Citi Field is the one that has the most stringent policy, where you have to have a negative PCR test or a vaccine post 2 weeks. The negative test has to be within 72 hours of the game date. And I think they also do temperature checks there as well.
We didn't do any
Yankee Stadium's the same thing.
What?
I think Yankee Stadium's the same as Citi Field. I think
they said it on the tickets because I was messing around, and they said it needs to have a negative test within 6 hours, and then a
6 hours?
yeah, it's
Wow.
like 6 hours. So stupid.
Wow.
But with us, we can't bring any bags, so I just had my glove and that was it. And you walk in, but the people still touch your stuff, which is stupid. You can bring a bag in; it's not going to make anything worse. But people are bringing blankets and shit in. What's the difference between a blanket and a bag? I mean, I'd rather one of those little clear bags that other stadiums have, personally, just to bring something. But the non-bag policy, I think, is really dumb. It's the stupidest thing ever. You can sneak a bag in. I can wear a drawstring bag under my shirt. It's not going to go off, but it's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Now,
And then I watched the Jays game today, and to see, a Globe Life where it was packed, that just felt so irresponsible. Like, you saw some people wearing masks, some not. I would have probably felt a little awkward even playing at that point because they were everywhere. And so it's interesting to see that versus what, Josh saw or what you guys saw. So I'm hoping that you'll never see that again where there'll be that many fans in the stadium for a number of years.
And unfortunately, with being in Texas, it seems like the south part of I don't care, I'll say it. It seems like the south part of the United States and people who feel entitled used to wear no mask. People don't take this shit seriously, and you wonder why cases keep going up. Or I'm not one to say COVID's the worst thing that ever happened. Yeah, it has a big survival rate, but still 585,000 people died in the U.S. I don't know about Canada, but I mean, that's nothing to slouch about. There's
You
a lot
guys
of
are
people
also
that
double.
died. What?
I think your cases have gone down now compared to us because of the vaccination.
but
Yeah,
even with the
doubled us.
vaccine, people are still getting
You
it.
can still catch it and still pass it on to somebody
Oh,
else.
I know.
And it's just one of those things. I don't like how some countries like Australia, who took it seriously, and they haven't had a case in like 100 days, and people give a shit about everybody else. America doesn't. People don't give a shit about nobody else. All they care about is themselves.
I
Sorry,
don't
got me
really see
started.
people caring that much here. Like, or at least the news makes it people don't care because cases are going up. If people really cared, the cases would be going down. When I'm out
No,
and about,
not entirely. So from the perspective of someone that's worked retail this entire time and who actually came down with it back in December, like, I have no idea how I got it. Like, I worked about 9 months during the whole thing before I finally got it. And I was around a lot more people at the beginning and middle of things, wore my mask, washed my hands, sanitized, all that stuff. It's nothing to take away from how dangerous it is for the vast majority of people, but I really think it's as spreadable as the flu, which for some reason it's pretty much disappeared, but that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah, that was kind of strange. No flu cases, but yeah, no, you guys are right.
But it's something that can spread around. It's not. I don't think it's a lack of caring or responsibility by people because, again, I got it. The two people that worked in the office with me that sat literally next to me hours upon hours, days by days, they never got it. So to me, it's just completely random. It's something that can be passed on no matter how careful you are. I think there should be some guidelines in place, but I think there could be some overreactions at times. And at this point, it's kind of more fatigue than anything.
Yeah, for sure. The amount of, what do they say? It's like the COVID fatigue, or like you've hit the point that you don't want to do it anymore, right? It's interesting here because we went from like no cases to we're getting anywhere from 20 to 30 a day in a small populated area. And a lot of them tend to be the variants. So you can see that impact. And then you can see something as simple as a group comes down from Toronto and all of a sudden we have an outbreak. So again, you look at Texas and I have no idea how they're not going to have some sort of big outbreak from that. And again, unless they had to show a negative test as well.
No, they didn't, man. It's like Texas, Florida, Arizona. There's like, screw it. Georgia, I think there's like, screw it, 100%. Don't worry about it. Now, places can still enforce the mask mandate. The private businesses can, which is good. But, I feel bad for those people who work a retail job and don't really have good health insurance or, I'm not saying the disease is a death sentence by any means, but, we're fighting something globally and, we're in a country that, some people give a shit, some people don't. So,
But here's my thing, like, everyone wants to talk about Texas and the ballpark in Arlington or Globe Life, whatever they want to call it, how this is going to be some big event. Not to open up too big of a can of worms, and I apologize in advance if I do, but during all the protests and everything last year, you really didn't hear about a whole lot of positive cases coming because of it when there was hundreds of thousands of people gathered together, and you didn't see a whole lot of massive times either with a whole lot more people interacting real close with each other. So it seems like it's a really big crapshoot what causes a big outbreak versus what doesn't.
yeah, you had a point. I wasn't a fan of I don't get me wrong, I'm about the protesting your First Amendment, but I wasn't a huge fan of the crowds either. It was both ways.
But you didn't hear anything about like big super spreader events because of that.
And you got to look at the news here as well. Certain things are going to be played up more than others, and without getting too much in a can of worms, I certainly understand what you're saying with that. It's like spring break this year too, and last year. It's like certain things do it and certain things don't, and it's just not uniform.
Those are probably the same people that aren't getting tested. Right? If they're not feeling well, they don't really even care about that aspect of it, right?
But a lot of it is, even if you don't get tested, you're still going to know if you're positive one way or another, because I'm assuming that out of hundreds of thousands of people, at least one person in the group has to have some type of job, and all jobs are doing screening at some point. So it's going to get out there. It's like you can't cover up thousands of people testing positive from one event and just kind of blow it off.
And I'm sure people did catch it, but it's not like the news said anything.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, I don't know. But getting to your first question, no, I didn't feel unsafe. And if people don't want to wear their mask, all I can do is protect myself and do what I can. And yes, either getting a vaccine or just not being anywhere. And you can still catch it. There's people that didn't leave their house and they still caught it. So it's crazy.
Now, the Canadians can jump in on this one too, but do you think MLB's protocols so far have been pretty decent, aside from the Nats pretty much screwing up everything because that's what Nats do, but the other 29 teams going through without a positive test so far, except for maybe a few during spring training, which I think they said they had 6 throughout all the spring training. Do you think it's a good sign? Do you think it's working, or do you think it is more towards no fans really being allowed in the stands, lessening the interactions between players and fans, and the kind of elephant in the room, maybe players getting the vaccine but not openly posting anything about it, which was another debate we're having on Twitter?
I worry that there's a bit of a cover-up sometimes. If you think of Justin Turner last year in the playoffs, right? And the big thing, even today, they were talking during the Blue Jay game that Bo Bichette actually has the antibodies, right? They found out during spring training. So I'm not sure how much they're actually publicizing that and to what degree.
So for the antibodies, you had what the health department told me when I got it, you have it in your body for up to 4 months. So he could have gotten it during the off season and have it still show up as antibodies a couple months later.
Yeah, you can still catch it after you get the vaccine. That's the prior people to understand. You can still catch it. You won't be as deadly, but you still catch it. So, this thing's going to be around for a while. But as with you're saying, MLB protocols, I think they're doing what they can with what they can do. They can't really police every stadium. Every usher's not going to police the rule. People catch it, they catch it. That's just kind of how it is at this point.
And look at other sports. Like right now in hockey, the Vancouver Canucks, like 21 people have it and family members, right? And it's like the Brazilian strand of the variant. So again, you've got other pieces that didn't do it well or haven't been doing it well. And hopefully Major League Baseball will continue on. I still think the NBA, when they had the bubble, did it the best. And I'm surprised some of these areas haven't bubbled, but
NHL playoff bubble too, World Juniors bubble, no cases once they got in. So yeah, it shows that the bubble works.
NCAA bubble.
Well, after TK gives his opinion, I got a follow-up question for you, Bill, about the Canucks thing. If TK,
Remind me of your question.
oh God, it was kind of a long-winded one. Do you think MLB's protocol so far?
The covering. Yeah. I think so far are so good. It seems like, I'd really like to know tracking of data of if there's like questionnaires. Have you attended a baseball game when they're doing contact tracing to kind of get data that if somebody does get positive, were you at a baseball game within the last 48 hours of being tested? Like, it'd be interesting to kind of see. That data is not going to get out there. People aren't going to say that they went to a game or something, but it'd be interesting to kind of contract tracing that to see if they can root it back to attending a sporting event, attending a church service, going to your local grocer. What aspect and exposure rates did you allow yourself to get exposed, and have you allowed yourself to expose others? Because people at my work have tested positive with no symptoms whatsoever. So how do those people impact the transmission of others? I was fortunate not to have, I was in a close contact with someone, so I had to isolate from work for 2 weeks, but I ended up not getting it. Was my protocol good? They also talked early on about the amount of exposure you get also can dictate how bad the case is for you as well. So I don't know if there's been more research done on that, but that's just something interesting that, I felt comfortable. I think MLB is doing what they can in the stadiums outside of Texas to ensure fan safety from what I've seen.
Fair enough. So, Bill, about the Canucks situation, I haven't been following hockey as much as I wanted to this year because I was more excited about MLB coming back. But what's kind of been their whole bubble group? Because I know they had teams kind of playing against similar teams throughout the season. But what was like the Canucks, and I believe it was also the Maple Leafs that also had a big breakout, or another
Canadians had
Canadians.
one.
Yeah.
And then they had issues with some of the American sides too. I think like the Hurricanes had some games postponed, and a couple of the Florida teams. But
Dallas, Vegas.
What's kind of been going on with the Canadian teams that may have prompted this huge breakout?
Well, and I'm not the expert by any means. I don't watch a lot of the hockey right now, but my understanding was they've bubbled by divisions, but they're still going home. They're still going to their families. So that to me has been the biggest piece, right? Because you don't know what they've done outside of that, right? Like how many of them go straight home, right? We looked even last year with Major League Baseball, right? What's we call it off the Cleveland Indians? Went out for dinner with some buddies, right? Breaking protocol. So I think part of the problem is the protocol hasn't been as stringent. And then you get cases, and then all of a sudden it shuts down practice facilities and shuts down teams. Like right now, they're probably, in essence, they're just going to say they're done for the year because, 18 players, 3 coaches, right? Their farm system was actually shut down, I guess, a week ago too. So really in the end, I think it's the lack of the bubble. They have talked about the playoffs going back to a bubble, kind of like they did in the past. So I don't know.
That's why they did the divisions, to try to do the bubble with the 4 divisions, and that's why they have only Canadian teams play Canadian teams. If a
part of that was because of travel too, because the government wasn't going to let them to the U.S.
All right, so rapid question, just quick answer from each person at the end. What's one thing you would change about MLB? Yost? Okay, what do you think, Justin?
Move on for me for now.
I was going to anyway. Bill?
If I could change one thing, it would be that all ballparks would let all fans in 2.5 hours before a game.
TK?
I was right there with Bill. Even if you have to charge $10 to help cover the cost of staff, to get, World Series, you're in there 3 hours early, you get to kind of feel the whole experience. I think getting people in to eat early, getting some concessions open, I think it just, they talk about bottom line. I think, what's the harm? If you look at the St. Paul Saints, they're opening up for their practice and they're getting people there on weekdays to go watch their minor league club practice. So I think the market is definitely there for that. So they should open it up.
Thank you for the short response. Yost?
A home run derby for extra innings. Your best batter gets 10 outs.
Justin?
Less strict rules when using devices to get baseballs. So, like in Toronto, you can get it out of the bullpen. Like, I don't see any issue during batting practice if a ball goes in there, why you can't fish it out.
So that's not an MLB thing. That's a stadium thing. So thank you for not answering the question.
That is MLB. I think MLB should make stadiums a lot more chill for fans, and they should enforce that employees should not be strict.
Okay. What's the worst thing that MLB has done in the past 10 years? TK, start with you. And he's on mute. Bill?
The worst thing they've done in the last 10 years is go backwards with commemorative baseballs. We should have more commemorative baseballs and celebrate the differences and things in the game.
TK,
Fire Rob Manfred is what I said.
What's up?
Hire Rob Manfred.
That's what I said. That's the worst thing they did.
Yost?
The 3-batter minimum. That's stupid.
Justin?
Yeah.
Just trying to speed up the game in general. Any rule to speed it up.
A 30-second pitch clock. Minimum. There's so many.
If you
I want to go back to the Babe Ruth days. Put a piece of cabbage under my cap, and away we go.
Back when you were a kid. All right. Another quick question. Commemorative baseballs. Would you rather have multicolored laces or a beautiful logo? Yost?
Ooh, beautiful logo.
Justin?
Beautiful logo.
Bill?
Colorful laces. I love looking at my 4th of July ball.
TK?
Laces.
Oh, man, you're making me have to be the tiebreaker on this one. I'd love a good logo. The laces caught my attention for the all balls, but there's something about a beautifully designed logo that just pops.
Wrong answer.
What are your thoughts? I think football does it, but what are your thoughts about every MLB team put instead of I know the battery made and all that stuff has to be on the ball, but what about putting so Blue Jays have the Blue Jay logo on the ball. So at every home game, you're using the Blue Jay logo ball. So every team uses their own logo on the ball for every home game.
So that's something that the Petco's League does or did. I think they ran out of money, so they had to go to one general baseball. But a couple of years ago, I think I showed you guys on Twitter, Roswell Invaders had a green laces baseball with the Selena Stockades had their own baseball. It'd be cool to see MLB do it. Maybe Toronto has a red and blue laced baseball with the Blue Jays logo, Orioles have an orange and black. Make it look like all-star game balls every day.
It would be interesting for batting practice to see if you were going to, and like what kind of ball, because you know that it's the home team that uses it. So if like the Angels are here and you happen to catch one that's an Angel logo instead of a Blue Jay logo, or you get one, they were just in Oakland and you get one with an Oakland logo from the Angel. It's like it would be interesting to see how the baseballs travel around the league if you were to do that.
Now, do you think the baseballs are trapped? Because I'm about to go see the Angels. Do you think they'll bring a couple?
Who knows?
Yeah.
So
We'll see in
It-
Dunedin what happens down there because I think that's their first road game.
it really depends because when the Blue Jays had their, was it 40th anniversary? Baltimore ended up with a couple of thousand of them, I believe, and they worked their way down to Frederick and the high A's, and they were being used for batting practice a couple of times. So got a few from that.
Seattle brought theirs around. Oakland brought theirs around. Baltimore.
Yeah,
did.
it
I
depended.
think
It
the Royals
depended
brought
for
theirs
some.
too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
It depended where they were on the cycle. Like if they were, because I remember the one time with Seattle, they didn't have any because they were like on a 12-day road trip.
That
And
was
then-
Oakland.
Right?
Oakland and San Diego, I think.
But there's always some. I bet you could look in that bag because I was really ticked when San Diego came and we were talking to the pitching coach and he's like, we don't have any. Then on the Sunday, about 10 or 12 people got them, so, which was crappy.
So
That's how we got it.
Yeah, I think sometimes maybe players keep them for themselves because maybe they collect them too.
I would.
I would too.
Yeah, I definitely would. I'd be walking out with a case of them.
Yeah.
I guess Jost went to go get dinner.
What time is it where he is?
7:30.
Oh.
An hour behind us.
Hopefully he'll catch up.
No, we're just gonna watch him play on his phone.
What? What's up?
What's for dinner?
I didn't get anything. I heard something in my house, so I had to go check it out.
Oh.
I told you I was sending Bug.
Yeah, you did. I'm like, what the heck is that sound? I don't know. I like a beautiful. What were y'all just talking about?
I like a beautiful logo lace.
Talking about if every team had their own commemorative baseball for their home games.
Yeah. So I think that would be a cool idea. I think MLB could do it, and then, like I said, the balls could possibly travel. I mean, just replace the logo. Like every team will have one. I think that would be cool. And then you can just start seeing that. Like, hopefully, I can get an Angels one this time. Say, hey, I came here for Angels commemorative or something. Like, that's my goal to try to get that on Monday. Even if I don't get a home run, I at least want to get commemorative.
So
Get two. I'll trade you for Milwaukee.
I already got a Milwaukee one.
Forget it then. I won't trade you.
what if Players Weekend had a commemorative baseball? What would it look like? TK, start.
I think I would have a contest among MLB players to design the logo and then have that one be featured.
Okay. Bill?
Yeah, I think it would be the same thing. I think it would be really cool to have some sort of funky logo with some colors and laces and I don't know. I think it'd just be fun. Or I like the idea, which I think would be cool, similar to the All-Star Home Run Derby, that the players sign the balls that are in play. And then you might get an awesome autograph with it.
Okay. Justin?
I like TK's idea, but instead of players designing it, have kids design it because Players Weekend is for the kids. Or there's the logo that they have on the side on the sleeve of their jersey. That could be the logo in a smaller version. I know it's pretty plain, but that seems to be the Players Weekend themed logo. Or having a contest where kids would put in a drawing and send it in.
Yeah, but kids are stupid. Yost?
Having it to where it's like the home run derby bonus ball to where it's white and that's another color. Like a bright pink or something where they could see it. Like a dark ball probably wouldn't be the best, but like a bright pink or a bright blue to where they could see it, they could still see the ball. I think that would be cool.
What about even changing, slightly take on what Justin said, changing the MLB logo to a silhouette of Griffey with a backwards hat?
Oh, that would be cool. I would love to see that. I mean, some of the commemorative baseballs that I have never got, I mean, I think they're so cool. And, when like the Tigers, I like the Tigers baseball with the old school, Tiger. I think commemorative baseballs are just so nice. And like catching one, being able to be in the moment and catching one, there's nothing like it.
So what got each of you into commemorative baseballs, not just ball hockey in general? Bill, go ahead.
Was the first one I ever caught was at a Jays game. I caught the Subway Series World Series ball from the Yankees and Mets, and I saw that. That was great. But to be really honest, then when my son was at the right age, it's the Zach Hampel videos, and I know that'll go right to Zach's head. But seeing all those different commemoratives, and then like I drove 6 hours to Detroit for the 4th of July just to get one of those balls, right? Like it's a strange addiction. It's amazing.
Justin?
The Blue Jays 40th. Being a Blue Jays fan and knowing that they were going to have a special logo on the ball, I think that's kind of what got me into it. Just wanting that one Blue Jay ball for my Blue Jays collection of whatever.
TK?
Getting my first ball at Petco Park, not really knowing the commemorative aspect of things, getting it tossed as I waited to enter the gate by a security guard, turning around and seeing that nice Petco 10-year anniversary in 2014 on it was pretty special to get.
Yost?
When I first really got into ball hawking, the Royals had their first 50th anniversary ball, and I got a ton of them. And it's just nothing like catching it, and that many people don't have them or care to collect it anyway. But, you know, many people don't have those special balls that you go and get. I, for one, want to start going to games to where there's only one night only you can get them, like Omaha, like I have an Omaha commemorative with the Miguel Cabrera, like stuff like that. Like everybody doesn't have those, and those are collector's items. So
I got
this
an
is
Omaha.
nothing like it. What?
I got an Omaha ball.
Oh, well, good for you.
Thank you.
Mine was when I was 8 and playing Little League. One of the prizes we got for our little fundraiser stuff was the All-Star Game baseballs or different baseballs. I love the multicolored stitching on there. And it's like, yeah, this is what I want every year when I participate in this. And then growing up, seeing the different stuff like the Blue Jays anniversary, Camden Yards anniversary. Like you said, Yost, there's nothing like getting those types of baseballs. Anyone can get a Sea League or Manfred ball.
And I didn't even know that there were commemorative baseballs for the longest time, right? It's funny, and I never even thought about this because we've got a rack in Colin's room that has about 14 of them. My buddy owns a sports store back in Thunder Bay, and he bought 260 dozen MLB balls. And they were all old commemorative ones, right? Like they were All-Star Game balls, multicolor, Yankee Stadium, the anniversary for Fenway. And you see all those. And actually, I wish I could go back now and try to go to games and catch some of those cool ones because it would have been so amazing to get them. And I even remember the one video, the Oakland, where Justin gets the Seattle ball, and he's like a kid in a candy store, right? Like, look, I got a Seattle ball. I was just happy he caught it, but
What?
I was just happy you caught it, but that's a whole different story.
Does your friend still have the sports store with all the baseballs?
Well, he ended up selling them, right? He made a huge amount of money on them. But no, he doesn't have them anymore. But he sent Colin basically just I think there were 14 or 15. Anaheim, like it's just incredible. Even the the two colored All-Star Game money balls, right? Like, that kind of stuff is so cool. But they all have stamps on them, stars on them, to show that they were never in use.
All right. Anyone else have any questions or want to do another rapid fire one?
I don't, but Joey, do you have the Giants or any of those commemoratives I was looking for?
Let me double check when I get off the call, and I'll tweet to you. It's a mess trying to go between stuff that's packed up and stuff that's still.
You know what, Yost, you're talking about the 50th anniversary for the Royals ball?
Yeah.
I love that logo. That's the first time Colin ever got two baseballs from one person. We went to opening weekend and we saw the Royals in Detroit, and I swear we were the only people there. And we were there for batting practice, and the pitcher's warming up. And the one pitcher, I forget his name now, but he was warming
Danny
up.
Duffy.
Like, yeah, it might have been. He was
Danny
like, it's
Duffy's
so cool.
known for that. He doesn't feel like throwing it in, so he just throw it to you.
But he was like, it's so cold here. You deserve two. And he gave him two.
Yep, that's definitely
That logo is a sick logo too, with the crown and everything.
Yeah, I like that logo, but I'm looking for some others, and so hopefully I can find them.
You said it was the Giants and Rockies.
The Giants and Rockies, and then Giants and Rockies are the only ones. And then 18 Florida spring training ball.
All right, I'll see what I can do.
Is that the one with the sign, like the
Yes.
freeway sign?
Mm-hmm. I have Arizona, but you don't have the Florida. I've got every year. Like I have 19, I have 20, but I don't have 18. I've been trying to work on that.
I have one. I'll check that out.
You got an extra. I'll trade you sometimes. Do you have an AZ spring training ball from last year?
Yeah.
Okay. Those were like hotcakes.
I got them from
boy.
and Joey traded one for Joey, and then I got one from the Milwaukee when he sent the box of balls.
I have like 20 of them. Like I caught like.
Remember
20.
that?
I was
you
like,
showed the pictures of them.
I was like, I have like 20 of them. It's crazy. I've been trying to trade them.
Yeah.
So I guess we're done. Justin, you want to do your intro, then I can edit this out?
Does somebody else want to do the outro?
Check back next week for more ball hawk action here on Justin's channel,
where we can see more of Josh's balls.
Yeah, Josh's balls. We need some theme music.